This story actually starts with Harvey Henderson Wilcox. Wilcox was born in 1832 in New York. He was raised on his parents' farm and unfortunately contracted polio, which made him use a wheelchair for the rest of his life. He got into real estate and eventually developed his own company. Meanwhile, he also got into politics and served in the city council of Topeka. In 1881, Wilcox sent his first wife to California because of the weather to treat her tuberculosis. Unfortunately, she died when she was coming back the next year. Wilcox married his second wife, Data, in 1882, and in 1883, with his new bride, moved to California permanently. Wilcox developed his real estate office in near what is now Hollywood, and purchased 120 acres. While a trip back east, Data took a brief vacation, and on her way back to her new acquired land, she was talking to a woman who was talking about her summer home named Hollywood. Data loved the name so much that she decided to name the new land Hollywood. In 1887, Wilcox then subdivided his land after a failed attempt to be a farmer, and started selling off some of his sections. He had to make a map to prove his sections were, in fact, the city, and that is where it was first known as Hollywood. In 1891, Wilcox passed away and Data took over his property. She remarried and then donated land to the community and to the churches. She helped contribute to the structure and order to start building the city from the ground up. Data developed the first civic center, in which the first city hall was known as Wilcox Hall, was located. This was on the corner of Cahuenga and Hollywood Boulevard. She also developed the first police station, cements for the roads, commercial districts, and churches for the city. She died in 1914 and is now known as the Mother of Hollywood. The Methodist Episcopal Church was one of the first churches in Hollywood. It was actually located on Hollywood and Vine, right there where the Taft Building is. Mrs. Wilcox donated that piece of land to develop the community, specifically anyone who wanted to open a church. The Taft Building was an office building since the 1920s. People such as Will Rogers and Charlie Chaplin had offices here. This was even the offices of the Academy Awards at one point. Now the Taft Building is being revived to continue being open to hold office space. What is located on Wilcox Avenue is the famous mural from painter Tom Sierra, and it is called "You Are the Star." The mural is supposed to show that the viewer is the star who the audience is watching. The audience consists of famous luminaries such as Marilynmonroe, Charlie Chaplin, Shirley Temple, Cary Grant, Lauren Bacall, Mae West, Laurel and Hardy, you name it. Anyone who is famous makes an appearance in this mural. Unfortunately, it has been fading over time since its first inception, and it has appeared in many films, such as Lalaland. And 1994's Hail Caesar, starring Anthony Michael Hall. Another interesting site on Wilcox Avenue is the infamous Mark Twain Hotel. Recently, the owners have been trying to renovate it, especially with Hollywood's decline back from the 70s and 80s, where drugs were more apparent in the city. There's an interesting story to the hotel. One day, a wannabe actor rented a room at the hotel. As he was rummaging through his closet, he found a blue sweater that appeared to be quite heavy. He unwrapped it, and it turned out to be the Oscar of the deceased screenwriter, Pierre Collings. You just never know what you could find in Hollywood. The hotel is actually located in front of the Hollywood Post Office. Built back in 1937, The groundbreaking of the post office was actually done by Will Hayes, the man responsible for enforcing the production code onto Hollywood films. What is interesting is that during the Depression, President Franklin Roosevelt commissioned a number of artists throughout the country to create art for federal buildings. Artist Gordon Newell carved the Horseman, which is still hung inside to this day. There are so many stories to tell about Hollywood and stories yet to be discovered and explored. Please join me in episode 3, where we visit the hip hotel where Stan Laurel lived and Marilyn Monroe would go. Join me and step back in time as we continue discovering history together.